we are facing an AI literacy crisis, and something has to be done about this. Hello, everyone. I know I haven't posted in years. I have actually filmed a video and was editing it. And it was basically just me rambling about AI literacy and how I think it's important, basically what this video is going to be about. But then I got annoyed while editing because I was like, I have a message that I want to share, but I kept getting distracted by the color correction and, how I looked in the video. And I was like, no, that's not the most important thing about this. And I'm getting so distracted, and I kind of hate looking at myself and having to edit it for hours. So actually, I'm just gonna record my voice instead, and do podcast style, because recently I've been listening/watching to podcasts a lot on YouTube, like as I'm cooking or cleaning, I'll just play it in the background. And so I thought, okay, I'm just gonna make a format that I watch the most on YouTube. So here I am. Okay. So what is AI literacy? AI literacy is being able to use AI appropriately. That means that you have the skills to know when to use AI and when not to. To be able to make the distinction of when is appropriate to use an AI and when is not is to kind of understand the fundamentals of AI and what it is and how it works. So with a popularization of ChatGPT, I think people use AI and ChatGPT synonymously a lot. So, when you say, oh my gosh, I'm just going to ask AI, what you really mean is you're going to ask ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever. You're going to search it on that platform instead of Googling it, for example. Or I guess Googling also gives you a Gemini, AI-powered answer. So I guess, yeah, are you going to look for an article on it, or read a Wikipedia page or whatever, or are you just going to ask ChatGPT and ask it to give you a summarized answer? And AI is not just LLMs. LLM, a large language model, which is basically all these AI chatbots that are able to converse almost as if it's a human being. Now, that is an LLM. That's one way AI can be used, but that is not the only way. And I think specifically today, I do want to focus on the LLM aspect, just because I think that is where we have the most exposure to AI. I love new technology. So when ChatGPT came out, I was reaching I think they used to have daily limits, but I could be totally messing this up. But I remember constantly asking it questions, also trying to look online what other people were prompting, and I was hooked. It was so fun. And I think when people started using it, it was more like testing the limits of what it can and cannot do. And obviously, because we had never had anything like ChatGPT before, our expectations were low, but also it was a lot about we didn't assume that it would be able to perform some of the tasks that now is kind of like a given. For an example, if you ask ChatGPT for a recipe to how to make a cheesecake, it is going to give you an instruction. And I think the initial response we had was, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And if you're not an actual chef, you read the recipe and it looks believable, and you're like, oh my gosh, maybe I'll try this out. But I don't think people went and actually executed that recipe for, you know what I mean? But I think now that we've had it for a few years now, different people have been using it for different things, actually have executed the things that ChatGPT would advise them to. And that's where we're seeing this limit of what Chat can and cannot do. So going back to the recipe example, I think I saw this somewhere, and I'm trying to remember where, but I can't remember. But some of the recipes that it gives you is just gibberish. Basically, it's just kind of piecing together information, so it might not actually be accurate as like a recipe as in itself. And this happens with the Google Gemini, like AI powered search tool as well. Sometimes it gives you summarized answers that are wrong because it summarizes different articles and kind of pieces different things together. And so how do we know when to trust an AI generated answer and when not to? So I do think it can be useful sometimes when you read a summary of something that you somewhat know about, and when you have the knowledge, when you are knowledgeable enough in the subject that you would be able to tell if something is off. But if that is not the case, I would rather read a source that was written by a human, because even if a human makes mistakes, it is still kind of, I don't know, better is not the word I'm looking for, but it's still like better than like an AI mistake because it makes a bit more sense. And you know, even things like making travel itineraries, like, you know, you could ask ChatGPT, oh, make a list of all the places I should go to when I visit XYZ city, and it will give you all the list of the places. It will give you a travel plan. And so it does a lot of the preliminary research for you, but you need to go back and fact check and scrutinize every single line, or else there are going to be mistakes in there. And not anybody, no one in this world is a specialist enough in every single field to like tell the difference. And that's why we have experts in different fields. And so I would rely on information that is produced by an expert rather than a large language model. And so, knowing all of this, recently I've been using ChatGPT a lot less. I did used to use it sometimes to proofread text, but I think the more I use it, the more I realize the blind spots. And if I have to proofread the AI generated text anyway, like what's the point of me using it? Because now I have to do like work, like, and it's not actually reducing my labor. So I am not using ChatGPT as much as I used to. I do think when it first came out, I was so excited and I used it a lot. And it was also a big part of my master's thesis. So I used it all the time. And actually, that reminds me to give you guys a little bit of an update of what I've been up to. So I got my master's degree at the University of Chicago. I think I've been absent that entire 2 years of my life online. I just kind of wanted to focus on my personal life and also my studies, so I didn't really post anything online really. But yeah, it was amazing. I got a master's degree in humanities with an emphasis on cinema media studies. I wrote my master's thesis on AI generated images, and it was a lot of fun. And now I've graduated. I still live in Chicago. I'm thinking of filming vlogs and stuff, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if I actually execute. Yeah, I think Chicago is such a beautiful city. I highly recommend that you add it to the list of places to travel because it's such a beautiful city. I love it so much. I think it's one of my favorite cities that I've ever lived in. I think it's my favorite period, my favorite city that I have lived in so far. So yeah, it's actually wild. And it's super cold this week. And depending on where you are in the world and when you're watching / listening to this, please stay warm. But yeah, back to AI stuff. So I grew up on the internet. I am a Gen Z, although I am slightly on the older side. I did grow up with the internet, so I always used to like make fun of adults that didn't really know how to use like online technology. and I would relatively be able to tell if something is photoshopped or not, although it's kind of hard to tell. Like sometimes if it's photoshopped really well, it's hard to tell. And also, like smartphone cameras, they alter your images for you. I don't know if people know about this, but like even before AI was like a big thing, smartphones always had built-in technology to enhance photographs. And I kind of was always like, I was always proud that I would be able to tell if something was altered or not. But recently, when I've been scrolling on social media, more and more cases, I would just be totally fooled and not know even whether something is altered with AI or not. And I think it's more difficult when it's edited. So if it's like a purely AI generated images, I think there are still like very noticeable like signs and details that you can look for to see if something is AI or not. But if it's like photoshopped in, or if it's like a hybrid of real image and an AI generation, it becomes really difficult to tell. And honestly, when you're scrolling on social media, nobody is scrutinizing a photo at a time, right? You're just like passively kind of like scrolling. And so you don't really have your like critical thinking lens all the time when you're scrolling on social media. So it's like you might have an emotional reaction first and then realize it's AI, and or not, sometimes not even realize that it's AI, but the emotional reaction is real. And that's where I see this problem getting worse. So, okay, so we talked a little bit about like the using AI front, right? With ChatGPT and all. And so now I'm kind of focusing on the absorbing AI generated content. And so it's just becoming really hard. And I think right now there's this whole controversy around, I think Sienna Rose is their name. I'm just going to really quickly fact check that. I believe, yes, Sienna Rose. She has been on the charts of Spotify, and she is AI. I think it's not 100% confirmed yet, but there is a lot of speculation that it's AI, and I think it is. It sounds like, okay, I can't say for sure 100%, but I'm like pretty sure. And so it's like a lot of people were responding online, oh my gosh, this music is great. And I listened to it. And they didn't even suspect that it was AI. And I'm seeing a lot of this. So like for photographs, because I'm relatively kind of trained in looking at photographs and images, I do a better job at telling the difference between an AI generated image or not. But I am tone deaf. I do not do music. Like I like listening to I love good music, but I do not have the expertise, and I was not born with a talent to kind of differentiate like different music. So it's like I do sometimes have like I do have my personal preferences for like the music I like or not, but I do appreciate when someone can like tell me why something sounds good. And so like when I listen to AI generated music, it's the same with images. If it's like purely AI generated with some like free like AI like music generator with like really bad vocals and or like really bad like autotune or whatever, or I don't even know what it's called, of course I can tell it's AI. But when it's manufactured to trick people, when there is an expert involved in the process and they're kind of like mixing it with a little bit of like artistry, like it becomes so difficult to tell. And that is the era that we are living in right now. Now, do I think it's necessarily bad? Now, that's more of like a philosophical slash ethical debate, and I don't think there is a right or wrong answer to, oh, like whether AI, whether like AI art is good or bad. That's that's a complete different conversation. But when it comes to literacy, when it comes to knowing whether AI is used or not in a piece of music, art, in a piece of writing, etc., it's just, I just cannot imagine what world we will be living in like 3 years, because it's just going to be flooded Like the world is just going to be flooded with AI generated content, with us not even knowing whether it's real or not. Now, a very interesting a phenomenon that is kind of similar to this is called the dead internet theory. And basically, it's when there's there's more content online that is generated with bots than humans. And there was this whole controversy on YouTube, I think like a year ago ish, where there were so many bot comments and YouTube wasn't really doing anything about it. And a lot of people were upset because there were a lot of, like fake information and stolen comments in the comment section. Essentially, there were too many bots. And at least now we can tell whether a comment is a bot or not. Sometimes people still like the bot comments because they don't realize that it's a bot. And I can imagine in very soon where people will take advantage of this and just spam comments that will not be bot detectable in the more traditional sense. So knowing all of this, what do? I think it's important to always stay curious and be skeptical. So not taking things for granted is really important. Always kind of having that little bit of doubt when you're consuming information or content is also important, in my opinion, because then it kind of makes you question the source of everything that you're consuming. Before you guys go, I would love to talk about today's sponsor. I was thinking about mentioning it earlier, but I was like, no, we should wait to the end. Today's video or podcast is sponsored by Chicago Literacy Studio, and they are an education platform that provides tutoring and consulting services in all aspects of literacy, and that includes college and grad school prep. And I will come out and say that this is actually a self-sponsorship because I am the founder of Chicago Literacy Studio. I am now a small business owner. I started this business this year because as I said, I am passionate about literacy and especially AI literacy, and I've always been questioning how does reading and writing change in a world that is digital. And so through my services, I design personalized curriculum that is most appropriate for you, whatever your goals are. And if you are interested, you can sign up for a free consultation. And if you're interested, you can sign up for a free 30-minute consultation. So please check us out. All the links are in the description down below. Thanks so much for listening to this pilot episode of my podcast, and I hope to see you soon.